Hello, everyone. Welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure. All Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And let me pause for just a moment to announce the Bookmap Academy March Madness Crypto Competition with over $2,000 in prizes overall up for grabs. To participate, users must register for both the competition and the Bookmap Academy and can also win prizes of $200 by sharing top tier content. All right, so there you go, March Madness competition. And scan the QR code for more information. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @Pless. Here are the key tenets to my approach for trading. This is the basis of my approach for trading. First of all, I believe options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the equity futures that I follow, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, and also in the large cap tech stocks that I follow. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and ES is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they will hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the ETF version of that index, and NQ is a derivative of NDX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned to the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And I'll show an example of how to use that in a stock as well as the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. So I'll show an example in Meta stock today. All right, the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. And for example, setups in the S&P 500 can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. So the setups that I talk about today, again, can be taken with options or stocks or futures. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. And hello, NC40G, welcome, glad you're here. Hello, Stephen, welcome, glad you're here as well. All right, here's my agenda for today, Thursday, March 28th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for today and tomorrow. Then I'll go over my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today, and then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's start with economic data and events for today. There were a couple of data releases. At 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, GDP came out. That was greater than expected, also greater than the previous number. And then at 10 a.m., Michigan Consumer Sentiment, also greater than expected and greater than the previous number. Tomorrow is a market holiday. It is a stock market holiday and a CME futures holiday. So the stock market and futures markets are closed tomorrow. And the PCE data, normally a market mover, that does come out tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then Jerome Powell will be speaking at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So expect the reaction to the PCE and Jerome Powell on Monday. All right, let's move on to positional analysis now. I'm going to start with the SP 500. This is the ES futures and Bookmap. Again, trading in a very narrow range today. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I do want to take a look at a larger time frame. And I'm going to go to the SPX. This is the rally that began last year, October 30th. Green line is showing low to high. That's about 1,150 points from low to high. All right, let's take a look now at the top portion of this rally. Let's go to a 30-day 1-hour chart. Again, SPX, the underlying index. I know this is kind of scrunched. The point here is to show the levels on the chart. All right, so this is the top of that green trend line from low to high, high right around 52.61. All right, the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's based on the options market. That's based on the closing price of SPX last Friday. Those lines remain in place for the entire week. And then the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. Also based on the options market. I update those levels every day, post them in Discord, the Options-Doug chat channel in Discord the day before. So SPX trading right in the middle of both those ranges, the daily and weekly expected moves. And again, at a very low volatility trading day today. All right, so the other levels on this chart are Spotgamma levels. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers. They're available on a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. So these are based on gamma-weighted open interest. First of all, the put wall is at 4,600. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. The next level up is 5,000. That's the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. Above that is the volatility trigger at 5,095. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. On the other hand, above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And then finally, the call wall is at 5,400. It has been there for a couple of days. That's the strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. So during this year, from the beginning of this year up until now, the SPX call wall has gradually moved up from 4,800 to now 5,400. So that is bullish. That's an indication that traders are looking for, expecting, and positioning themselves for higher prices over time as these levels shift higher. And note, there were no shifts in levels for SPX from yesterday to today. So that really is somewhat neutral. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart, taking a look at the levels in play for today. All right, let me zoom in on this chart just a little bit. So here's the end of day rally yesterday, just the opposite of the day before, the end of day drop. End of day rally yesterday, and then very narrow trading range consolidation for today. Note this 52.48 level. Acting as support. There is, we'll take a look at Bookmap in just a minute. The ES to SPX offset has changed during the day. Kind of odd, but it did change during the day. That may have to do with end of quarter. All right, so the 52.48 level in play. That's the only Spotgamma level in play for SPX. All right, let's go back to Bookmap now. All right, so there's that 52.48 level. So I'm showing that in my own cloud notes. So I have SPX levels, SPY levels. There's this 523.48 combo 4 level that did act as resistance before the cash open right here. All right, so the main level in play for today is the 52.48 level. All right, let's take a look at something. So earlier today, the ES to SPX offset was 59. Right now, it is closer to 57. So let's take a look at something here. This is a watch list in Thinkorswim. This is where I get that number. And it's just a simple line in this watch list /ES minus SPX. Right now that's 57. It was 59 earlier today. So that's what I'm showing. I'm showing this 48 at 53.07. It really should be 2 points lower. So I'll show you how I make that change. I use an add-on called price lines. So let's put it in the correct location. So we know that that offset is only 57 points, not 59. So this should be 53.05. So I'm just going to change this level. Let's change the 52.50 level also to 53.07. So those levels will be shown in the correct places. All right, so I've saved that file. Then I'm going to update my price lines add-on. And now that will show those levels in the correct place. All right, so now this 52.48 level, much more relevant. Also lined up with the liquidity there, right around 53.05 and 4.75. All right, so sorry about that issue. I'm not sure what's caused that that wide range. All right, Katinga, welcome. Glad you're here. Dare to Dream says, hey, Doug P. Hello, Dare to Dream. The net final index levels, I do post those levels in Discord in the Options-Doug chat channel. ES minus SPX equal 59. How can we use these figures to add an edge into our trading? All right, so Dare to Dream, I don't know if you're watching or not. I don't see you in Discord. Hopefully you're watching in YouTube. And you're welcome. You would be welcome to watch in Discord as well. All right, so I just showed you here. This is how I use that information. So again, I'm updating these levels. Normally they don't change that much during the day. Again, that could be something with end of quarter. These are all the levels. Dare to Dream says is on YouTube. Okay. All right, so you are watching this. All right, so again, it was 59 this morning. Now it is 48. More in line with what we saw on the SPX chart, that 1 minute chart. All right, so those are the levels in play for today, primarily this 52.48 level, acting as support. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ now. Oh, shifts in levels. Again, SPX, there were no shifts in levels. And for SPY, the put wall shifted lower and the call wall shifted higher. So for SPY now, the call wall is up at 525. It was 522 yesterday. So the call wall for SPY did move higher. That is slightly bullish. And I put a little, the call walls have been more in play than the put walls. So I put a little bit more weight on that shift higher in the call wall for SPY. All right, Dare to Dream, did I answer your question? That's how I use it. That's how I use it to set these levels on my ES chart and my NQ chart. So let's move on to NQ now. These are the NQ futures in Bookmap. All right, remember there is an issue with volume dots in the beta version, 7.5 version 12. Bookmap support is aware of the issue and they're working on it. It should be fixed in the next release. I don't know when that will be, but they are aware of the issue. All right, so this is NQ futures in Bookmap. And let's take a look at the underlying index charts. First, go to QQQ. Take a look at the levels in play for QQQ. All right, for QQQ, 445 is a large gamma 3 level. So acted as support earlier today. Now resistance. 444 is the volatility trigger 0 gamma level, somewhat acting as support. Note there's a combo level for QQQ just above that, along with the 445 level, again acting as resistance. All right, so NASDAQ also trading in a very narrow range today. Let's take a look at NDX and then we'll get to Bookmap here. NDX, 2 levels in play. First of all, this level here, there's a, I'm not sure what that line is there. Blocking that. Let me see if I can. Oops. All right, that disappeared. I'm not sure what that was. All right, so the 244 level, that's a combo 3 level combining SPX and QQQ and NDX, gamma weighted open interest into one combined level. They're shown in terms of an NDX price acting as support today in this 281 level. That is a combo 4 level, somewhat acting as resistance. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so I have my own cloud notes again, so I can show QQQ levels. There's the 445 level acting as resistance. And here's this cluster of levels, the 244 level that I was talking about, as well as the QQQ 444 volatility trigger. Let me check on that NQ to NDX offset. So right now that is around 220. So I have it at 225. So my NDX levels are just going to be a little 5 points too high. All right, so again, normally those index offsets don't change around that much during the day. All right, now I'll talk about setups in a few minutes. All right, shifts in levels. For NASDAQ, there were none. For NDX and QQQ, no shifts in levels. So that is somewhat of a neutral outlook. All right, let's take a quick look at gamma notion. We'll see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. This is gamma notional. Again, market makers positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. For the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, this is what I look at. And note for the S&P 500, both these numbers are positive. For an index, Spotgamma assumes that in a positive gamma environment, traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma. They have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. And normally the number for NDX is not significant. And then QQQ, slightly negative, really neutral. And note for SPY, there was a pretty significant shift. So all these numbers shifted higher from yesterday, and there's quite a big shift for gamma notional for SPY yesterday, from minus 970 million to today positive 881 million. Right, so in this positive gamma environment, again, I'm looking for lower trading range, smaller movement, not a lot of volatility. Tony K, welcome, glad you're here. Ask, would this level be only relevant using ES chart to trade SPX? No. You can, if you're talking about the S&P 500, let's go back. Again, remember, the setups that I'm talking about are good for any form of the S&P 500. So even if you want to trade SPY, this chart has much more information than trading SPX or SPY. So for SPX, there is no, you can't buy and sell SPX. So you can only look at a candlestick chart for SPX. Here, this chart has so much more information, whether you're trading SPY, SPX, or ES. So much more information. I'll go over that in just a couple of minutes when we get to setups. Stops, icebergs, iceberg orders, liquidity. So let's just compare this to a SPY chart, for example. There's just a lot more information on the ES chart. So that's why I'm showing SPX and SPY levels on this chart, so you can trade any form of the S&P 500 you want to from looking at this chart. So again, you can trade ES, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options. All right, Dare to Dream, you're welcome for the answer. Maybe as a follow-up, if I don't have Thinkorswim account, where else can I get those figures from? You should be able to just calculate it by hand. You may have to watch a chart, look at a few high and low points to get compare an ES chart to an SPX chart, compare a couple of high and low points, or that may something like that may be available in other trading platforms. All right, Tony K, you're welcome. All right, so Dare to Dream, again, what I used to do is just compare a 1 minute chart for the day for ES and SPX, and then take a couple of the same high and low points and calculate it by hand. But it's a lot easier just to have that in that difference in that watch list. And also, I do post it in Discord every day, so just tune into Discord. Normally, there's not that much of a discrepancy or that change during the day. And it's a little odd. Normally, those numbers get a little bit smaller every day, so that jump up from 57 yesterday to 59 today was a little bit odd. All right, so let's take a look at some setups now. First thing that I want to do is take a look at what options traders are doing today. So this is so everything that we've looked at so far, other than the Bookmap, is based on static data. That is based on open interest data that's updated once a day, sometime during the night. Spotgamma takes that information, applies their algorithms to that data to come up with the levels that we were looking at. Now let's move on to execution, look at real-time data. So what this chart is showing is the HIRO signal, HIRO, Hedging Impact Real-Time Options. So this chart is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. There are two lines on this chart. The white line is showing price for SPX. And again, you want to use this for trading any form of the S&P 500, whether you're trading SPY, SPX, or ES. All right, so price is price for the white line is price for SPX, and the purple line is the HIRO signal. A rising HIRO line indicates traders are taking positive options delta positions. That means they're buying calls and or selling puts. A falling HIRO line indicates traders are taking negative delta positions. That's options positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. All right, let's zoom in on this chart. All right, I'm going to focus on the first early morning setup here. All right, so traders right around 9:40 started taking positive delta positions, and price moved higher. So when traders take positive delta positions, they buy calls and or sell puts. Market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they have to buy futures to hedge their delta exposure. And notice, as the HIRO signal flattens off, price consolidates, flow alert comes in. Especially in the S&P 500, these flow alerts can often act as mean reversion signal. And that's really what it did here. It took about 20 minutes for the hero signal to really start to move lower to set up a short. But let's go back and focus up just on this long in the morning. So let's zoom in. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more actually. All right, so we know right around 9:40 traders started taking positive delta positions. So let's look at the clues here in Bookmap. First of all, the volume dots. These are showing market buy minus sell. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. So there were a lot of aggressive buyers starting to come in, shown by the large green volume dots. Also notice, just after 9:30, there were some large iceberg orders. That's shown by the on-chart indicator. That indicates there were 990 contracts executed in 8 different transactions. You can also see that with the rising light blue line in the subchart. So large traders were buying this move down with iceberg orders. This light blue line is VWAP. So this 52.48 combo 4 level, along with VWAP acting as support. Large traders buying with iceberg orders. Aggressive buyers shown by the green volume dots. Also cumulative volume delta. And options traders taking positive delta positions, all helping to move the S&P 500 higher. And first target was the SPY level that acted as resistance earlier. Price did move above that, up to the liquidity, right around 53.15. This is the heat map in Bookmap showing a history of the limit orders in the order book. This darker shading indicates there were limit orders. Those are passive orders in the order book. And in this case, initially acting as resistance, so absorption at that level. And then finally, those levels were consumed. And it looks like they came in right again. This is an iceberg order, smaller, not all of it executed. You can see this line here. May be difficult to see. That's also on that 53.15 liquidity. That was an iceberg order that was not completely filled. All right, Anurag says, if the signal is mean reversion, then it is no good. Stock can only go 2 directions. What is the use of hero signal then? So I'm sorry, I really don't understand your question. Other than, let's go take a look. All right, so there's the long setup in the morning. Plenty of clues in both hero and in Bookmap here. All right, so let's go back to hero. All right, so the way I look at this, if this hero signal comes in and I'm long here, along with the clues in Bookmap, I'm going to look to exit. And if I'm looking for a short, so I see the signal that gets my attention. I see the hero signal level off. So that fuel that was driving price higher, those options trades have stopped. Let's shift to puts and calls. I'm going to have to jump back, so we can get a little bit more clarity. All right, so from the open, traders were buying calls. they weren't doing much with puts. Blue line sloping slightly down, so they were buying puts, but more aggressively buying calls. Alert comes in. Immediately, call buyers take the foot off the gas and price consolidates. So in my mind, this is working perfectly. Sometimes you get an alert. There's actually an alert here at the open. So you can interpret that at the open. Watch the orange line. Orange line is rising. That's bullish. So you're looking for a long entry. You go to Bookmap, so you see the signal, see the rising orange line. Go to Bookmap, see the clues in Bookmap for a long entry. And there you go. Just after right around 9:38, price takes off as traders start aggressively buying calls. Again, a flow alert gets your attention after this move. You see the orange line immediately flattening out. So you're looking to exit your long position or potentially looking for a short. All right, so let's go back to Bookmap now. All right, so in Bookmap, I know there's an alert coming in. Let's go back and check the time on that. So the alert comes in right around 9:46. Just at that time, ES has reached that liquidity. That was a profit target, price target. Aggressive sellers start to come in. Price moves down, makes one last push up to the liquidity again, and then moves lower. Let's go back to Hero. So when I'm trading, I'm watching Hero on one screen, Bookmap on my main screen, and then a trading platform on the other screen. So I am watching 3 screens when I'm trading, so I can see all of this working together. All right, so even if this flow alert was not here, I think this is pretty clear. Call buyers taking the foot off the gas. That fuel that was driving price higher is gone. So a flow alert just to get your attention. All right, so Anurag, I hope that makes sense. Makes perfect sense to me. All right, so let's zoom out. So since that time, traders have continued to buy calls, not as aggressively as they did in that first 15 minutes. They're also buying puts, shown by the steadily falling blue line. These numbers pretty much almost balance out to neutral. So let's go back. We'll take a look, total. All right, so this number is pretty neutral. Oops. All right, so that's what's happened when you shift. All right, so let's go to the Mag 7 and move on to NASDAQ. Hello, Caesar. Welcome. Glad you're here. Wants to take a look at the last hour of trade on the combined S&P 500 signal. Yeah, we can take a look at that. All right, so the way to do that, we can go into the settings here and show, let's just go to yesterday. So Hero provides the last five days of the Hero signal. Spotgamma provides the last 5 days. So Hero there, Caesar, I'm sorry, there you go. So there was really no lead here. It looks like, and I think this is probably true for most of the day yesterday, that options traders were just really following, not leading. So it would be more interesting if, for example, the hero signal started rising a few minutes before. But in this case, that's not the case. We can take a look at the Mag 7 also. So I went back and looked at that, and I did not see any leading indication of that move higher. All right, so let's go back just to today's data. All right, so now we're just looking at today. All right, so we're on the Mag 7. All right, so in this case, in the morning, just like yesterday, not much of a lead here. This is kind of unusual for the hero signal for Mag 7. And let me show you what this is. This is a combined signal for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven. So it's showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven. That's Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Tesla. All right, so again, not much of a lead today, which is kind of unusual. Let's take a look at the signal for NASDAQ. Normally, recently I have been looking at the Mag 7 signal. Let's shift over to NASDAQ. This is showing a combined signal of options trades in NDX and QQQ. And this was the better signal today for a long right at the open. So let's go to NASDAQ. Well, it looks like the volume dots kind of reset themselves. All right, that's good. All right, long at the open. Pretty similar setup to the S&P 500. Remember this level should be about 5 points lower. So this cluster of levels, though, acting as support, 444 and NDX 18,244. Acting as support. Again, volume dots. Aggressive sellers on the way down. Then aggressive buyers come in right around those levels as traders were taking positive delta positions in NDX and QQQ. You can see the rising cumulative volume delta. That's the magenta to dark blue line moving higher. Then aggressive sellers start to come in. NASDAQ makes a double top and moves lower. All right, so that's NASDAQ. All right, let's go back to Hero. Since then, kind of grinding down. Resistance again at this 445 level. Let's go back to Hero. Sorry. All right, so just like the S&P 500, options traders take their foot off the gas, and then NASDAQ moves lower. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. First stock I want to take a look at is AMD. I'm going to shift to puts and calls. I'm going to have to jump back to avoid the auto zoom problem. All right, so this is for stocks. This is how flow alerts often work. They come in first few minutes after the cash open. So Paul, here we go. Here's AMD right now. Traders were buying calls, shown by the rising orange line. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. They were also selling puts. That's shown by the rising blue line. So here in this case, both the blue line and the orange line moving in the same direction. That's a very powerful directional indicator. And right around 10:35, they take their foot off the gas and price consolidates. So up until about 10:35, orange line, blue line moving in the same direction. Very powerful in this case, bullish directional indicator. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to AMD. All right, volume dots. Zoom in. Pullbacks to VWAP, that's shown by the blue line there, as traders were selling puts and buying calls. Nice pullback entries. Note the liquidity in the order book. This is very typical of a stock. These limit orders come in at the cash open just maybe a few seconds later. They stay in the order book until they're filled, often acting as magnets for price. So AMD made it just up above 183. All that liquidity consumed, again acting as magnet for price. Then as options traders took their foot off the gas, AMD started to move lower. All right, that's AMD. Anurag, what is the ticker symbol for Nikola? I don't think I've looked at that stock in some time. All right, so let's go back to Hero. All right, so again, options traders taking their foot off the gas. Price kind of grinding lower now. All right, the next stock is Meta. All right, Meta, let me show you a little bit about how you can develop a thesis for a stock. So this is Equity Hub in Spotgamma. It's one of the tools available to Spotgamma subscribers. What this is the history of the key daily levels. That's what I'm looking at for the last 10 days. This color coding is a recent addition. This is showing for today the hedge wall, call wall, and put wall all move lower. That's a bearish hat trick for Meta. So again, that's bearish. So based on this, my thesis for the day for Meta was bearish. So I'm looking for a short setup. All right, so let's go back to Hero. Zoom in just a bit. So we can see from the open again, a Hero alert. Came in, traders were selling calls, not doing much with puts. And this was kind of an odd reaction to price, this pretty sharp reversal higher, even as traders were selling calls. But it set up a good divergent short. So right around 10:05, traders continue to sell calls. They started buying puts. So in this case, starting around 10:10, 10:05, both the blue line and orange line moving the same direction. It took a little bit of patience for this setup. Let's go to Bookmap. Go to Meta. So there's that initial move lower, rush higher, and then kind of a grind lower as traders again started selling, continued to sell calls and started buying puts. Blue line, orange line moving the same direction. So again, it took a little bit of patience for this short setup in Meta. All right, the next. Let's move on to NVIDIA. Tony K asked, if one is red and the rest are green, we have a potential neutral stock. Yeah, that would be a mixed signal. So it would take, you know, depending on how many levels of green, how many were red, develop a thesis. So to me, the thesis for Meta was pretty clear with 3 reds. So again, a bearish hat trick in Meta. All right, here's NVIDIA. Reset the volume dots. Let's go take a look at Hero. Let's go to NVIDIA. All right, so initially NVIDIA, very bullish in the morning, a couple of flow alerts coming in, blue line, orange line moving in the same direction, price moves higher. Traders were buying calls and selling puts. Market makers take the opposite side. This was kind of a head fake here, a very deep pullback all the way down to the 900 key gamma strike, even as the orange line and blue line were moving in the same direction. So that also took some patience to wait for that deep pullback in NVIDIA. And then right around 11:15, traders have started selling calls, and they are still selling puts, but that line has leveled off. So both the lines leveling off right around 11:15, and now NVIDIA consolidating, moving slightly lower. All right, so let's go take a look at NVIDIA and Bookmap. All right, so there's that. Let me zoom in on this. Initial move higher. You had to be pretty quick to catch this. Pullbacks, really to the big round number levels. Cumulative volume delta was rising during this time. Then here's that very deep pullback to the 900 level. All right, Anurag wants to take a look at Nikola. All right, I don't have that in a Bookmap. We can take a look in Hero. All right, so this is not a stock that I would normally consider at all. I don't know why. $1 stock, I don't know why you would even trade options, but there are a few options trading today. Let's just compare numbers here. So this is, we can take a look at the total signal. Total for today, 468K. Let's compare that with NVIDIA. So that's delta notional value. So so that's 500,000 compared with NVIDIA at 817 million. All right, so sorry, Anurag. I think Nikola is one of the stocks that was in play maybe a couple of years ago, but not now. All right, let's take a look at Amazon. Tony wants to take a look at Amazon. So Amazon, bullish in the morning. Another flow alert. That's a key part of my process. I'm watching for these flow alerts in the first 10 to 15 minutes. Traders taking positive delta positions. Amazon quickly moves up. 9:45, they take the foot off the gas, and Amazon starts to move lower. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Amazon. Not a lot of movement today in Amazon. That's pretty typical. About 1.5 points. Quick move up. Oops. Opening print just below 180. Aggressive buyers on the way up above the liquidity at 180, 150. Then options traders take the foot off the gas, and Amazon moves back down to 180. All right, Tony, you're welcome. All right, any other stocks? I've got a couple minutes left. Let's go back and check the S&P 500. Up and down, mean reverting price action, range day, very typical of a positive gamma environment. S&P 500 again, finding support at that 52.48 level. Also the liquidity looks like a tick below. Let's see what options traders are doing. And we'll go back to the S&P 500 signal. So it looks like right around 130, they started taking positive delta positions. Again, typical in a positive gamma environment. Market makers are traders with options are buying the dips and selling the rips. Let's just check and see what zero DTE traders are doing. So this purple hero signal is showing all expirations, all trades. Let's take a look at next expiry. So that green line is showing options that expire today. So next expiry for the S&P 500 is options that expire today. All right, note these numbers are very close, especially in this last hour. Very strong correlation between the zero DTE trades and all expirations, indicating that a large part of the trade today in options is options that expire today, the zero DTE. All right, KP asked, do you see an unusual discrepancy in option volume in SPY versus SPX? SPY has a lot more range today compared to ES. All right, so first of all, let's take a look at, we can take a look at options volume, and we can take a look at delta notional here. So let's go to SPY. Let me turn this off. SPY notional value minus 581 million. I don't have SPX on my on this bar here. So we'll have to go to SPX. All right, so that's 534 positive. SPY, 621 million negative. So net that out. All right, so we're also adding in ES to that equation to get the total. So all these have an influence on the SP 500. So it looks like ES is kind of really making up the balance of that difference between SPY and SPX. All right, so now as far as range goes for SPY versus ES, there's no difference in range. Remember, there's kind of a fixed relationship between ES and SPY every day, and I do post that relationship in Discord every day. So maybe it's changed a little bit, but there's during the day there's pretty much a 1-to-1 move between ES and SPY. You know, of course, there are more ticks in SPY, but that relationship remains the same. So if you compared a line of ES and SPY, they would be identical for today as far as price action. All right, so KP, I hope that answered your question. And one other thing that you can do, well, let's leave it at that. All right, everyone, I want to thank you for watching. My time is up. I want to thank you for your questions and comments. Everyone, remember, tomorrow's a holiday. So everyone, have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. All right, thanks again. Have a great weekend. Bye.